I thought I would come on here today and give some encouragement to all you moms that are starting homeschool this year or beginning your homeschool year. We homeschooled for 19 years, and it really was one of the best experiences that we have ever had as a family. Our oldest son was not homeschooled. He preferred to go to public school, and that was fine. We're not homeschool snobs. But I really wanted to tell you a story about how my first year of homeschool went. Just maybe to help you relax and enjoy these first years of homeschool. When we had decided to homeschool was the very same year that we decided to move from a little town where we lived right in downtown to the country. And so we moved to 5 acres on the North Carolina-Virginia line, and our boys were just taken out of, being able to run up to the ball field and go to the library anytime they wanted, and kind of put into this wilderness of living in the country and having chickens and growing a garden and having goats and those kind of things. And so we were kind of inspired by this book called Hard Times in Paradise by Mickey and Dave Colfax, and they actually were homeschool pioneers. They raised their 4 children back in the 1970s, and all of their children, I think, except one, went to Harvard or Yale. And so that was kind of our inspiration. We hadn't really given much thought about how our kids learn or what they do, or what their interests were, or why they were having a good time with this subject but not having such a great time with the other, because they were very intelligent kids. And so this kind of let us take a step back and realize that we wanted a different path for our children. So anyhow, it was my first year homeschool. I had the 3 younger ones, and we were going on our first homeschool adventure, which was to a swim park, water park that is in Greensboro, North Carolina, and they have a homeschool day every year. And so we were kind of late, running late that morning. It's always like herding cats with those guys. Christopher had 1 speed, and he still has that 1 speed. It's Christopher's speed. It's his wife's problem now, not mine. But he was kind of slow, and the 2 older ones couldn't find probably their swim trunks, and we didn't have enough towels. And so I threw a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter and a knife in the bag, and grabbed some Chips Ahoy cookies and some Lay's potato chips. And before we got into the park, I stopped and went in, and they all grabbed a drink for their lunch that day. And so that was it. While we were waiting in line to get our tickets, there was a woman who lined up with her 7 children behind me. All of them were wearing blue t-shirts, and the guys were all in matching swim trunks, and the girls had like matching swim skirts that matched the guys. And the mother looked very put together. Her hair was just very well coiffed, and they all had beach towels, and I swear those children lined up according to height. So I'm starting to feel a little bit discouraged, because her children are all just standing there being so well mannered, just standing in a line, and my guys are like kicking at rocks and giggling and laughing, and they're not standing in a straight line. They're kind of running around me like bugs. But I thought, okay, we can get through this. We're new at this. If I homeschool, my children will act just like that. So the boys have a great time. It's time for lunch, and who should plop their stuff down next to mine when we're eating but the Perfects. So my kids are coming in there, and they're grabbing the cookies out and eating one of those, and grabbing their hands of the chips, and you know, I'm throwing down paper towels and trying to put their drink on it to keep the paper towel from blowing away, and they're standing on the bench just numbing this cookie, and there's crumbs going everywhere. And the perfect family sits down, and I swear they sit down according to size. And they start slicing the bread that was homemade, and I'm quite possibly sure she ground the wheat that morning, with all natural peanut butter and some homemade jelly, because it was in one of those little jars that you can with. And her children ate carrots and apple slices and homemade cookies, and they drank water from a container that she kept in the cooler in little cups that she collected in the picnic basket. And so I was starting to feel more and more deflated as my chocolate chip smeared cookie faced children ran back to the wave pool to have a good time. So we're in the car, and the boys are jabbering, and they had just had such a good time, and they were so excited. If this is what homeschool's like, then they are all for it. And I kept thinking, well, obviously this homeschool thing is not osmosis, because my kids are not lining up according to size or age. They're kind of swatting each other with towels in the back seat, going crazy. So we get home, and after dinner, my husband asked how the day had gone, and I just burst into tears, and I was like, I cannot homeschool. Do you know we were supposed to have matching shirts? Well, which wasn't true, but I said, and everybody was lining up according to size, and nobody's kids were standing on the benches eating cookies, and their faces didn't even get dirty, and I'm quite possibly sure every single one of their fingernails didn't have dirt under them. And so my husband just asked me to pray about it, and that we would regroup in December. And so without that outside pull with me looking at people and holding myself to this standard, our homeschooling started to really relax and do fine. I began to know who my children were, what their learning styles were, which I will do another video on at another time. It was okay that my 5-year-old wasn't reading, and it was quite okay that we were just going through a half-hour day doing how to teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons. And it was positively okay that everybody's schoolwork was done, and they still had 8 hours of their day to do whatever they wanted to do. We did have limits on TV watching and video games, but we spent hours at the library. We spent hours out in the woods and building water ducts out of PVC pipe and all those other really fun things that really shaped and helped my boys become who they are today. And what I realized now that my children are grown, and they are fine men, and they are well educated, and they all have great jobs, is that it's kind of like when you get to, when somebody passes you going real fast, and then you come to a stoplight and you're both at the stoplight at the same time. Whether you're that person who's really, really organized and you make your own bread and grind your own wheat and have enough time to sew bathing suits for all your children, and their personalities are such that they line up in alphabetical order or whatever, or if your personality is more serendipitous, kind of like mine, where, you know, we would wake up and say, okay, throw all your books in a bag, come on, just grab something out of the fridge, we're going to go to the lake and school today. You're going to do fine. Just make sure you keep your eyes focused, 1, on the Lord and what He wants you to do with your children, 2, on your children and their learning, and how you and your husband can both help guide them in the way that they need to go. That Bible verse, train up a child in the way they should go, and they will return to it. And so I think those are things that we really need to keep firm and strong. And I just want everybody who's starting their school year to have a really good year. Relax. It's going to be fine. Everybody's going to get to this stoplight at the same time. So you all go out and make it a great day. Have a great school year. I just pray blessings on each and every one of you for your children and what you have in store for them this year, whether it's homeschool or public school. And you guys go out and make it a great day.